Hey guys, Dan Hood, Big DH 2000 here. As you can see, we're in the shop. Somebody asked me the other day why I hadn't done any tips and tricks videos in a while. Well, I've put plenty of them out there. I've put some build videos and all of that. I didn't think I had much else to say, but then today something came up which I realized is a very important thing that I do and probably most really good builders do, that I'll pass on. As you can see, when you cut a core, even no matter how good your bandsaw is, there's going to be some rough spots here and there just because your hand jiggled a bit, whatever. Never cheat steps, okay? Before I put anything on this core, I'm going to make sure anything that causes a huge temperature fluctuation in the core is finished. One of those would be sanding all of this edge smooth with the spindle sander, okay? Getting rid of all the saw marks, clean it up, look at it. You can see it needs to be tucked in a little bit more on one side, here, and a little bit clean up over here. Do all of that on your spindle sander. Do not cheat that step. Do everything you can. Get it all as perfect as you can. Even if you're going to countersink the holes in any way, do that. Make sure this is clean, this hole here, you know, all that stuff. Clean it all up. Because while you can still clean it up after you glue stuff on it, you have to be so much more careful, because if you overheat the core, you can sometimes have delamination no matter what glue you use, okay? It can happen, okay? So you gotta stop a lot more often, cool it off a lot more often, and it takes twice as long, okay? Whereas if you'd have spent, say, an extra 2-3 minutes before you glued everything on, you'd save yourself about 10-20 minutes after you glue everything on, okay? Same with sanding. Do not cheat a step. 80 grit or 60 grit, wherever you start to get the rough shape, you know, your spindle sander, whatever, you get down to 220 grit and the mistakes start to show up, like, oh, okay, I didn't get this spot smooth. It still got a few really bad scratches that could use the 100 grit or the 150 grit to get out. So when you get done with the 220, for the most part, you can assume that it's smooth everywhere if you look carefully, okay, and that nothing's going to show up. Things still show up if you cheat the step, okay? Do not cheat the step, okay? And then you get down to 400, sand that bad boy at 400 and look again. You've even heard guys like Lewis talk about, you know, sanding different ways to the grain at different levels so that he can see where he missed on the previous grit and go quickly back to the previous grit and correct the problem. If you start cheating steps, you'll get all the way down to like 800 grit and find a whole bunch of mistakes and have to go all the way back to, say, 200, maybe even 100, 150, somewhere in there, and you just keep wasting time. So, like I said, every step, do not cheat it before you go on to the next step, okay? And you'll learn where the cheating line is the longer you build frames.